Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This Shabbos is a very special Shabbos. We opened up with this week's Torah portion. God tells us, Kedoshim to you, that you shall be holy. Why shall you be holy? Ki kadosh ani, because I am holy. It's a very powerful statement. God tells us, how are you going to be holy? Because I am holy, meaning God is holy, and therefore, every single one of us has a chelik elikam imal mamash. We have an actual part of God inside of us, and therefore we all have the potential to be holy. It's interesting because what the pasuk continues on, and it says, "Imay va'aviv tiro," that you shall fear, you shall have awe for your mother and father. First the mother and then the father. Not just because this parsha is always read somewhat to Mother's Day. We want to wish a happy Mother's Day on Sunday to all the moms, but because the next part is how do we become holy is through education. And chinuch starts with the mother, it says. The mother is now keres habayis, she's a foundation of the home. And therefore, she's the one that ultimately is going to be responsible for the education of her child. Because a child ultimately learns at home. And the reality is that in many cases, the mother is the one that is going to be teaching him in many ways. And therefore, it's first imay and then aviv. First the mother and then the father. And then it finished off as Shabsosai Tishmayru, and the Shabbosim you shall keep. And so it's interesting because these three things, when they're together, the Torah doesn't just put random ideas together, and every single one of them is intrinsically connected. The first one is Kedoshim to you, you shall be holy. How can you be holy? The only way you could be holier is when you have everyone on the same level, and then one rises above. And so when it tells us that you shall be holy, it's not talking about within the Jewish nation, it's talking about the entire world. And if it's talking about the entire world, it can't mean that you're becoming holy through Shabbos or Tefillin or Kashrus, because that doesn't apply to the entire world. So if we keep Shabbat and the other and the non-Jews don't keep Shabbat, it doesn't make us any holier than them. We have an obligation to keep Shabbat and they don't. And so it's actually says forbidden for a Gentile to keep Shabbat. And so what makes us holy? And the answer, the Rebbe explains, is that we need to make sure that we rise above, that even the things which are permitted, that we are allowed to do, we live beyond the letter of law. You know, it's interesting this week, there was a big financial fraud case. They're arguing whether the person did something illegal, if it was a legal standard, or if it was actually legal. We're going to have some silly lunches coming up about the legality of Jewish law. But the Torah tells us that regardless of whether it was legal that he did, we have a law which says, you cannot put a stumbling block in front of another person. You can't sell someone a product. You can't do something which is going to hurt somebody. You can't do anything that may hurt another individual. And even that it might be technically, according to U.S. law or securities law kosher, it's definitely not kosher according to Jewish law. And so that means to be living lifnei mishira sadin, living beyond the letter of the law. Not just to the letter of the law, but even things which are permitted, we make sure that we live in a higher way. Like this, when people turn around and said, look at this Jew, it shouldn't be in an anti-Semitic way, but you should look at this Jew and look how he's acting like the mensch of Malden Mills, who, when his entire factory burned down, he continued paying his employees for a couple of months. That's what we want to look up to, not, God forbid, the opposite. The second part is about education, and education begins at home, and that's very important to teach us that we cannot expect the next generation to be holy if we don't give them the proper education. And here specifically, again, the continuation of Jewish education, whether it's in a school or whether it's in home, it's very important and an obligation of the parents. We can't just expect our children to do things if we don't do it ourselves. And the third one is Shabbos. It comes down to Shabbos. It says, the Shabbos we keep, and umikdashi tiro, and you will have awe for my mishkan, have awe for my mikdash. The reality is when we keep Shabbos, we make a space, we separate ourselves from the entire, we also make a holy space for Hashem. And so Shabbos, which is a foundation, it says that when we go upstairs, after 180, God willing, God's going to ask us two questions. The first question is, did you act honestly in business? And that's the first question that we're going to have to ask. Not about Shabbos, not about Kashrus, not about Tefillin, not the kosher. Were you honest in business? The second question is, did you keep Shabbos? These are a foundation of what makes us a holy people. And so God charges us with a mission. Kedoshim to you shall be holy. Ki kadosh ani Hashem, because I am holy. Shabbat shalom, everyone. We'll see you tonight, 7:30, tomorrow morning at 10:15.